In this world, whenever people run into their ex, it gets so awkward they practically want to curl their toes through the floor. Some have their lies exposed on the spot and just want to die of embarrassment. Some get relentlessly pushed together by a much younger little brother and don't know whether to laugh or cry. Some even end up starring in a massive social death scene, with all the neighbors watching. Yet clearly, they could have spent the rest of their lives never speaking again. But instead, they just have to become neighbors who can't avoid seeing each other every time they step outside. And what's even more suffocating is that the other person is still holding all your dirt. When I was in college, my still going strong parents gave me a baby brother. He looks a lot like me. Every time he lands at the bottom of the class, he doesn't dare call our parents, he calls me to school instead. "Mom, this is my homeroom teacher," my brother says, clutching the hem of my shirt like a good boy. But I can feel the chill in the man's eyes across from me. I force myself to greet him. "Hey, small world." "Nothing small about it," he says coolly. "I just didn't realize that 3 years after we broke up, you'd already have a son this big." Back when I started college, my parents gave me an entrance gift, a freshly baked baby brother. I watched my mum duck shyly into my dad's arms. I gave my dad a thumbs up in genuine admiration. "Dad, you're incredible." The key point is, my brother looks way too much like me. When we pulled out my old photos and compared, he was basically my clone. My mum held him, looking smug. "With genes this good in our family, not making a couple more kids would be such a waste. Look at that little face. He's gonna steal so many girls' hearts when he grows up." I really didn't have the heart to burst her bubble. But as the full-sized original of my mum's design, I've only managed one relationship my whole life. Are we sure this mini version is destined to become a heartbreaker? Anyway, by the time I graduated college and had been working for 3 years, my brother had successfully made it to 2nd grade. My brother is basically a challenge letter from the heavens addressed to me. As a kid, he was always climbing trees, jumping into rivers, digging out bird eggs. Once he started school, he was at the bottom of the grade every single time and didn't dare tell our parents. So every time, this long-suffering big sister had to go to the office and take the scolding for him. Supposedly, this semester, my brother got a new homeroom teacher. As soon as the midterm results came out, I got invited in for a talk again. In the office, my brother clutched my sleeve and introduced us to the man in front of us. "Mr. Jason, my mum's here." "Mum, this is my homeroom teacher, Mr. Jason." I was just about to say hello when the words stuck in my throat. Meeting the man's cold gaze, I forced myself to speak, but took a sharp turn midway. "Hey, small world." "Nothing small about it," he said flatly. "I just didn't realize that 3 years after we broke up, you'd already have a son this big." My brother looked up at me, staring in shock. In that moment, the same words flashed through both our minds. "We're dead." Half an hour later, my mum arrived, shot my brother a cold look, then went into the office to talk. That night, my brother got a tag team beating from both parents. I got a friend request from my ex-boyfriend, Jason, whom I hadn't seen in 3 years. I'd had my eye on that untouchable high mountain flower since I first started college. I chased him for a whole year, and to this day I'm probably still on the school's biggest simps leaderboard. But in the end, this simp actually got the guy. We went on to have a passionate 3-year relationship. Just when everyone thought Jason was going to propose to me after graduation, I broke up with him and dumped him instead. Jason was so heartbroken he went to the States to study. I instantly became a campus legend. "You left your water bottle in my office," Jason texted, sending a photo. I suddenly remembered. When my mom was chasing my brother around to beat him earlier today, he'd been hiding behind me. I'd been busy trying to break it up and left my water bottle in Jason's office. "Could you please give it to my brother tomorrow and have him bring it back to me?" I typed. His reply came in seconds. "No. Come get it yourself. I did give it to you back then, after all. That water bottle was a gift from Jason, and I'd treasured it for a long time." Great. The heartless bitch image I left him with when we broke up has now completely shattered. The next day, I went to the school. Jason was sitting in the office, in a simple white shirt by the window, long fingers holding a fountain pen. He looked like he was grading papers. The first time I ever saw Jason, he was sitting quietly off to the side, just like that, and yet he drew everyone's eyes. "Sis, what are you doing just standing there?" I was staring, totally dazed, when a sudden noise sounded behind me. Jason heard the voice and looked up. My brother was surrounded by several girls, all sneaking curious looks at me. Did Mr. Jason call you over to scold me again? Looks like my brother is very self-aware about how much trouble he causes. Jason had just stepped out when, before I could say a word, the little girls rushed over. Mr. Jason! Benjamin's being a creep! I stared wide-eyed at my 7-year-old brother. So he really is a little heart thief in the making? Benjamin practically hopped in place in panic. No, I wasn't. I was just talking, that's all. But the little girls stuck to their story. He was being a creep. He said he's going to marry us someday. The girls stood off to the side, all pitiful and wronged, and I felt like I had to say something so I wouldn't look like a sister who couldn't tell right from wrong. Benjamin, how could you say that? You're a student. Your main job is to study. You can't be focusing on romance at your age. Jason chuckled softly behind me, and I snapped back to myself, remembering someone once said the exact same thing to me. Isabel, you're a student. You should focus on your studies and stop thinking about dating all the time. But I'm in college now. I'd argued back then. Isn't it a waste not to have at least one relationship? Damn it! I actually repeated the exact lecture Jason once gave me. Right in front of him. You two really are siblings, Jason commented, before comforting the little girls and sending them off. My brother and I stood there like two quails. Jason went back into the office, handed me my water bottle, then picked up his briefcase. Come on. Let me buy you dinner. We can catch up. Normally, the word dinner would have us bouncing 3 feet high. But in front of Jason, both my brother and I sat there as quiet as mice. Especially my brother, he only dared to pick food from directly in front of him. Maybe because I was the one who initiated the breakup. And supposedly someone saw Jason go into a jewelry store to buy a ring because he was planning to propose to me. Then I dumped him. No wonder I'm drenched in guilt just looking at him now. So, how was life in the States? Not bad. Busy with school every day, after all. No one's pestering me to date anymore. I buried my head in my bowl and didn't dare say a word. Thankfully, Jason didn't keep talking about himself. Instead, he switched to Benjamin's studies. My brother looked at me with a tearful, pitiful face. Sorry, kid, your sister is dying of awkwardness here. After dinner, I refused Jason's offer to drive us home. I resolutely took the subway back. My brother dragged me and ran faster than a rabbit. Once we got on the subway, we grabbed the handrails and panted. Sis, Mr. Jason is really your ex-boyfriend. I nodded. Then he must have really liked you. Didn't he used to listen to everything you said? I thought back. He did like me. And as for listening to everything I said, honestly, that was pretty much true. When he saw me nod, my brother got even more excited. That's great. Why don't you and Mr. Jason get back together? I stared at him in disbelief. How does a 7-year-old even say something like that? People around us turned to stare. I suddenly wondered if I boarded the wrong train. I'm serious. That way, if Mr. Jason doesn't treat me well, I can complain to you. And how exactly is he treating you not well? He always calls on me to answer questions, and he checks my homework extra carefully. I was silent for a long time before spending the entire ride explaining to him that this was a sign his teacher cared. No, it's not. So are you helping me or not? Aren't I your brother? No, you're my little nuisance. After thinking it over, I still gave him a simple version of Jason's and my relationship. Benjamin stayed quiet. Not until we got off the subway did he suddenly yell, "So Jason doesn't like me because you dumped him. Great." All that explaining was for nothing. This child's brain is broken. When we got home, my brother's eyes were red. He tossed his bag and ran to his room, sobbing. What happened? Aren't you always happy when your sister picks you up? My mum asked, puzzled. Moments later, loud wailing came from the room. Mom, now I finally understand what it means to punish the whole clan. Thankfully, his grief only lasted 3 days. 3 days later, he came home waving a workbook with a big thumbs up drawn inside, proudly showing off his reward. Mr. Jason said I've been doing really well lately, so he drew this for me. My brother held it up to show me, but I just stared at the drawing. That simple little thumbs up doodle was something I once taught Jason to draw. Back then, we were studying in the library together, but I could never keep up with the top student, and after a while I'd get sleepy. To keep from drooling on my book, I shifted my attention. I started doodling a thumbs up on his scratch paper. Don't scribble all over my notebook. I glared at him, annoyed. I'm teaching you. When you become a teacher someday, you can use this to praise kids. Jason chuckled lightly and didn't stop me, letting me fill his paper with thumbs ups. So he really did learn it. I handed the notebook back to my brother, who stared at me with big, curious eyes. Sis, maybe you should just be with Mr. Jason again. You don't have a boyfriend anyway. And tons of the teachers at school like him. How do you know that? Everyone knows. The English teacher blushes whenever she talks about him. My brother looked proud. But I still want Mr. Jason to be with you. That way when people ask, I can say Mr. Jason is my future brother-in-law. That makes me look so cool. So it's all about his vanity. I clapped a hand over his mouth and told him to go do his homework. After that, he didn't bring it up again, and I thought he'd forgotten. But a week later, I suddenly got a message from Jason. Benjamin said the reason you haven't dated anyone all these years is because you've been waiting for me. One lie takes 1 second to create, but 10,000 steps to clean up. As soon as I got home, I gave my brother a good smack. He clutched the back of his head and yelled, "But it's true! You haven't dated anyone, doesn't that mean you've been waiting for Mr. Jason?" I choked. If I denied it, wouldn't that expose the sad fact that no one's chased me in years? Sis, just say yes. Mr. Jason was super happy when he heard you weren't dating anyone. How do you know he was super happy? Are you a worm living in his stomach? He gave a cold snort and turned his head away. I just know. This afternoon he even let us watch a movie. He never does that. Was it about protecting your teeth? How did you know? I had to take several deep breaths just to keep a straight face. Because today is World Oral Health Day. I swear. My brother's brain is something else. But he still clung to his theory, muttering about it non-stop. That night, I lay in bed staring at Jason's last message on my screen. After thinking it over, I finally replied. Not really. A few guys have tried pursuing me, but none of them felt right. As soon as it's sent, I tossed my phone aside only for a reply to come 3 seconds later. Is it because you haven't met anyone more suitable than me? Great. America really changed him. The once unattainable high mountain flower now shoots straight from the hip. I thought you were waiting for me. After all, you were the one who said you'd love me forever. Staring at Jason's message, I felt a swirl of emotions. That was years ago. Just chalk it up to me talking big. I took it seriously. Perfect. 4 little words ruined my entire night's sleep. The next morning, I dragged my dark circles to work. My coworkers nearly jumped when they saw me. We don't even have any projects right now. Why do you look like you pulled an all-nighter? Don't tell me it's because of a man. I forced out a smile. My coworker patted my shoulder knowingly. Be careful with your heart. Listen to your big sis pick someone who loves you more, like Tony, who's been pursuing you lately. I suspected she must have taken a matchmaking fee. She'd been trying so hard to push me toward this guy from tech. Just after I turned her down, that colleague walked over himself. Isabel, are you busy today? Want to grab dinner after work? Supposedly he was a returnee from overseas. Even though he worked in tech, he didn't look like a programmer at all. He always wore suits, gold-rimmed glasses, the whole refined gentleman vibe. I saw you post about craving barbecue. There's a new place nearby. I was about to refuse, but the moment he said barbecue, I hesitated. It's just a meal. I want to try it too. Think of it like 2 food buddies going out, okay? He put it that way, saying no felt impossible. So after work, we headed to the restaurant. The place was smoky, and I stuffed my face without caring about manners. Isabel, I've always wanted to ask, what kind of person do you like? Jason's face immediately flashed across my mind, like moonlight on the horizon, gentle, distant, unattainable. The kind of person who steals your breath at first sight. Actually, I do like someone. As much as I didn't want to admit it, Jason really was the light lodged in my heart. My colleague went silent for a long moment before giving a bitter smile and telling me to eat more. By the time we finished, the sky was dark. He offered to walk me home. I was just about to decline when someone behind me called my name. I turned around. My brother was holding Jason's hand, both of them wearing identical stormy expressions. Didn't you say you were coming to pick me up today? Crap! I forgot! When we got home, my brother threw down his backpack and shut himself in his room, sulking. Why are you two always in a cold war lately? My mum asked as she walked in. Honestly, it was my fault. I'd promised this morning to pick him up. Then got too busy and forgot. My brother had waited with Jason at school for 2 hours. They finally decided to walk home, and just 1 street away, they saw me coming out of the barbecue place. After I finally coaxed my brother out of his mood, I remembered to message Jason. Thanks for taking him home today. I got too busy and forgot. Busy eating with another man. Hard not to connect that to the way he glared at my colleague earlier. His face had been like a thundercloud, eyes boring holes into the poor guy. It wasn't until my brother whined that Jason was squeezing his hand too hard that he snapped out of it. He's just a coworker. I needed some help with something work-related. I had no idea why I felt the need to explain. It just felt like I was overdoing it. After I washed up and crawled into bed, Jason finally replied, "Whatever, it's your business. Has nothing to do with me." True enough, we're broken up. Who I eat with shouldn't matter to him. But that one sentence kept me awake the entire night. After that, Jason never contacted me again. My colleague moved on to pursue another girl. Life went back to normal, until a month later, when my brother came home, clutching his latest monthly exam. His scores made my mum burst with joy. She gave him 2 giant drumsticks as a reward. But he didn't smile. With a sigh, he dropped the drumsticks into my bowl. Before bed, he pushed open my door and slipped inside. "Sis, can you please date Mr. Jason? I can't take this anymore." He lay on my bed, looking like he was about to cry. Mr. Jason checks my homework every day. He calls on me to answer in every class. I'm so tired. He's paying attention to you, that's a good thing. I was about to comfort him when I realized he had already fallen asleep from exhaustion. Could it really be that hard on him? Over the next half-month, I watched my brother grow more exhausted each day. He even looked like he might fall asleep while eating. Only then did I realize how serious this was, and decided to message Jason. "Mr. Jason, Benjamin did well this time. Thank you for your guidance. But he's been complaining that he's too tired lately. Could you let him relax a little?" Polite, formal, flawless. I secretly felt proud. "In the afternoon," Jason replied. "He has great potential. He should stay focused on his studies." His message made me angry. Benjamin had already stopped watching TV, and every day after school he went straight to his room to do homework. How was that not focused? I thought back carefully. Could this still be about seeing me eat with that coworker? Do you treat all your students like this, or are you upset about what happened before? Are you questioning my professionalism as a teacher? "No, I'm just talking about the situation. Internally," I grumbled. Jason was getting pettier by the day. Jason didn't reply after that. But that evening, as my brother came home from school, he wore a miserable expression. "Mr. Jason scolded me today." "Why?" I panicked. Was he picking on my brother? What happened to his noble teacher ethics? Did he leave them in the US? I grabbed my phone, ready to demand answers, when a notification popped up. His studying is indeed more serious than before, but only during class. The rest of the time he plays card games. I asked he even hides at night to play them. It's gotten to the point he's losing sleep over it. Shocked, I rushed into my brother's room and found an entire stash of Ultraman cards hidden under his mattress. He'd probably spent every cent he had buying them. My brother crouched to the side like a guilty quail. Jason sent another message. I already spoke to him. His card games are affecting his rest. His family should step in a bit. Also, my roll calls are random. There's no such thing as special attention. Reading it, shame washed over me. Didn't expect you to think of me like that. Great. Completely doomed. Furious and embarrassed, I called my brother over and gave him a good spanking, confiscating all his Ultraman cards. Only afterward did it hit me. Jason was probably upset. He didn't reply to any of my apology messages. Back then, whenever he was angry, he'd ignore messages too. Maybe he was genuinely hurt. Being accused of unprofessional behavior might have stung his pride. Seeing that none of my messages were getting replies, I decided to apologize in person. While going to pick up my brother, I headed to the office. Jason was, as always, wearing a simple white shirt, grading papers, but his presence still outshone everyone else. On my way into the school, I overheard a few little girls talking about how handsome the second grade class 3 teacher was. Kids these days really do develop taste early. The whole scene sent me right back to college. I had first heard about him back then too, rumors of a ridiculously handsome student. One glimpse, and I fell instantly. "Do you need something?" He'd caught me staring, but I didn't panic. Sorry about before. I jumped to conclusions without understanding the situation. I came to apologize. I accept." That's it? I'd prepared half an hour of lines, and we were done at sentence 1. "Let me treat you to dinner as an apology, okay?" "No need. I have something to do later." I bit my lip, just about to say more when a knock sounded behind me. "Mr. Jason, time for the meeting." It was an especially beautiful teacher, bright eyes and lively expression. Jason left with her. Damn it. On the way back, my brother tugged at my hand. "Did you see? That's our English teacher, Miss Zhang." She's very pretty. She's not only pretty, she likes Mr. Jason. If you want to win him back, you have to hurry. I hesitated, then crouched down to look him in the eye. Jason and I did date before, but that's in the past. There's no chance now. Don't say things like that it's bad if someone overhears. My brother nodded vaguely. But why? Mr. Jason likes you. Don't you like him? Where do you even get ideas like that? Irritated, I stood and pulled him along toward home. He jogged beside me, still chattering non-stop. Whenever we go to the office, Mr. Jason lets us play, unless we're talking about studying. But that day, I talked about you, and he listened for a long time. He even asked questions about you. He didn't send me back until class was starting. Does Jason still like me? That thought lingered in my mind for a long time. I remembered the day we broke up, a perfectly dramatic, rainy day. Rain heavier than the scene in a Yuhong begs for medicine. Jason sat across from me, rubbing his fingers anxiously. When I said we should break up, disbelief flooded his face. Then came the questioning, then arguing, until we finally split. As he left, I noticed the bulge of a small box in his pocket. I cried in the restaurant for a long time, until the rain stopped and someone approached with a bouquet of flowers. Mr. Jason ordered these. He placed the order half a month ago. They were supposed to be delivered at noon, but the rain was too heavy to get through. Sorry about that. A bouquet of vivid red roses, dewy and fresh. There was a card tucked inside, just 3 simple words. Marry me. Combined with that little box in his pocket, I instantly understood why Jason had made a reservation at that restaurant half a month earlier. What was supposed to be a proposal turned into a breakup. I didn't even get to see what the ring looked like. Not long after, I heard Jason had gone abroad. I sat at the airport all day, watching planes take off and land, telling myself again and again, Jason finally left. This is the life he deserves. I thought he'd stay in America for good. I didn't expect to run into him again 3 years later. After that, I never picked my brother up from school again. I thought it over for a long time and deleted Jason's contact info. Just seeing his name annoyed me better to cut it off entirely. My mum started arranging blind dates. My brother glanced at me and finally stopped mentioning Jason. For some reason, my luck with romance surged. Every blind date showed interest in me. But they were all bad matches. I wasn't interested in any of them. My mum was driven to despair and kept asking what type I actually wanted. But whenever I imagined being with those men, I pictured future emotional neglect, domestic violence, cheating. The thought alone made me tremble. My mom scolded me for overthinking. Did you ever consider whether he might abuse you back when you were dating? Honestly, no, I'd been too busy staring at his face. Who had time for anything else? In the blink of an eye, December arrived. One day my brother came home and pulled me aside. You really don't like Mr. Jason anymore? He hadn't mentioned this topic in ages. Today I saw Miss Zhang holding a huge bouquet. I heard she was taking it to Mr. Jason's place. That beautiful teacher, she and Jason really did look good together. I stayed quiet, but I couldn't sleep at all that night. The next day, I came down with a fever and took the day off, sleeping at home. Around dusk, while I was dozing comfortably, I kept hearing noises next door. Sure, it wasn't exactly quiet hours, but show some respect for your neighbors. I opened the door, in my pajamas, ready to complain only for the words to die in my throat. The door across the hall was wide open. Jason stood in the stairwell, directing a couple of movers lugging a sofa. Hello, neighbor. Jason had moved in next door. That same night, he came over to borrow a bottle of soy sauce. The one who reacted the most was my brother. After dinner, he slid dramatically across the floor and knelt in front of me. Sis, I'm begging you, please get together with Mr. Jason. Otherwise, he'll be watching me every day from next door. I shrugged and told him I couldn't help him. Jason borrowed soy sauce today. Tomorrow he borrowed a screwdriver. Even my mom started grumbling. Mr. Jason looks so put together at school. How is he so scatterbrained in daily life? Something felt off to me. But Jason kept a strict social distance, just a nod when we crossed paths. Meanwhile, my brother wore a permanent pained expression and no longer dared to go downstairs to play with the other kids. As the weather got colder and Christmas approached, the neighborhood started decorating. My brother's school didn't celebrate Christmas, but the teachers were having a gathering, so the extra class was cancelled. That afternoon, he texted me to come home early for hot pot. Right before I got off work, the company splurged and gave everyone a flower so we wouldn't go home empty-handed while watching couples celebrate. Holding the flower, humming to myself, I headed home. As soon as I reached the building, I spotted Jason taking out trash. Wasn't he supposed to be at the teachers' gathering? I greeted him and was about to head upstairs when he grabbed my hand. You celebrated Christmas? His question left me confused, but I nodded. It's kind of a holiday, so why not join the fun? And we're having hot pot later. Jason released my hand, face pale. He was still the same, always choosing style over warmth. I was about to remind him to dress warmer when my phone started ringing. Obviously, my brother had begun harassing me. Forget it. We're broken up. Why should I care? I answered the call and headed upstairs. Our family sat happily around the table eating hot pot. Halfway through, we realized we were out of oyster sauce. As a devoted oyster sauce lover, I couldn't tolerate that. I immediately put on my shoes and went out to buy some. Outside was a sea of red, festive and bright. I hummed to myself as I carried the oyster sauce home. Glancing up at Jason's apartment, it was pitch black. He must have gone out. I sighed softly and headed up. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator and reached for my keys, a strong arm suddenly grabbed my waist and yanked me toward the stairwell. The strength behind me was overwhelming. Before I could react, I was pulled into the dim staircase. I raised the oyster sauce bottle in defense, but another hand caught my wrist. It's me. Hearing that familiar voice, I finally realized. Jason, what the hell? You scared me to death. The stairwell was dark. Jason tugged me around and pinned me against the wall. A faint smell of alcohol lingered in the air. You've been drinking? Merry Christmas. He spoke nonsense as his hand cupped my face, his cold fingers sending shivers across my skin. Didn't you go celebrate Christmas? Why did you come back? Let go! Can't I celebrate with my family? Jason's strength was terrifying. I couldn't move an inch. Why did you delete my WeChat? Oh, he finally noticed. I rolled my eyes. You weren't replying to me, so I deleted you. If Benjamin needs anything, you can just contact my mom. Then why did you delete my WeChat 3 years ago? I sent so many messages you never replied. And then you deleted me. I went silent instantly. That's all ancient history. Why bring it up now? So you can just forget everything? Forget the promises you made? Forget everything we did together? Jason suddenly grabbed my chin, forcing me to look him in the eyes. How do you do it? When you love someone, you're so passionate. And when you stop, you throw them aside without hesitation. Isabel, sometimes I really wonder, did you ever love me? What were those 3 years to you? Did you actually care? Or was I just some toy to brighten your college life? I had never heard Jason speak with a trembling voice. Proud as he was, he always carried that cold, distant aura. Just standing there made people afraid to approach. Say something. You can't even speak to me now. He pulled me into his arms. The familiar scent, the familiar warmth. My mind went blank, and I instinctively wrapped my arms around his waist. Isabel, why did you treat me like that? It's been 3 years. Every day I've wondered what I did wrong for you to sentence me to death without a word. In the dim, empty stairwell, his voice sounded hollow and desolate. I went to church so many times, praying to God to forgive whatever sin I committed. I even wished devils were real so I could bargain with one. I'd give up anything, everything, if it meant I could be with you again. 3 years wasn't long or short, but listening to Jason now, I cried uncontrollably. I had suffered too. Just tell me what I did wrong. I'll change. I can't stand the thought of you being with someone else. He held me tightly. A warm tear fell onto my cheek. I'm sorry. After a long silence, that was all I managed to choke out. I don't want sorry. I just want us to start over. Jason bent down, burying his head in the crook of my neck. I felt his body trembling and gently patted his back. Okay. The moment the word left my mouth, I felt the weight on my chest finally fall away. Jason jerked his head up and stared at me, stunned. Really? You won't leave me again, right? I won't. My eyes burned as I looked at him. Ever since you came back, I've wanted to be with you. But I'd been afraid he wouldn't forgive me. Afraid he'd reject me, just like I once rejected him. By the time I finally went home with the oyster sauce, my brother's belly was already bulging. Sis, why'd you take so long? Come on. I saved you some shrimp. I sat down and shoveled food into my mouth. My brother stared at me. Sis, why is your mouth swollen? My heart jumped. I'd gotten too carried away in the stairwell. Our kissing had been a little forceful. Nothing. The hot pot broth was spicy. I brushed it off quickly. That night, just as I was falling asleep, my brother burst into my room. Sis, you and Mr. Jason are together now. I shot upright, panicked. How do you know that? I went downstairs to find Xiao Gang, and I saw him. He even bought me food. And he said if I see him outside school, I can call him Big Brother. Who knew Jason had such a big mouth? I finally sent my brother to bed, only to wake up the next morning and find the whole family knew. My mum stared at me over breakfast, eyes blazing. Are you dating Jason from across the hall? Pfft, I spat milk everywhere. How do you know? Your brother said so. I knew you two had a story. My mum raised an eyebrow triumphantly. That Mr. Jason clearly isn't strapped for cash. Why would he move into our old building and keep coming over to borrow things? Obviously, it's because of you. I buried my head in my bowl, unable to answer. My mum was practically glowing with satisfaction. That evening, when I went to pick up my brother, Jason insisted on coming back with us. So the three of us went upstairs together just in time for my mum to catch us. Back already? Jason, come eat with us later. My mum really was something just one day, and she'd already upgraded her tone. Okay, Auntie. Jason agreed immediately, looking obedient as ever. At dinner, my brother looked miserable. If I'd known it'd be like this, I wouldn't have tried to get you two together. Eating with my teacher feels so stressful. Unfortunately, Jason had just finished washing dishes and heard everything. One glance at his amused but not really smile, and I knew my brother was doomed. Under Jason's relentless discipline, my brother scored pretty well on his finals, but before he could enjoy 2 days of happiness, misery struck again. Jason came looking for me every few days. As someone who never did homework until the very last minute, my brother finally felt true oppression. Right after the new year, he started kicking and screaming. Sis, please move out. Don't let Mr. Jason come over anymore. I can't take it. I really can't. Unfortunately, it was far too late. For the next 4 years of elementary school, he was destined to live under Jason's iron rule. Soon the weather grew warmer. Hugging a box of ice cream I'd just bought, I ran toward home, only to see a familiar-looking woman at the entrance of our complex. She lowered her sunglasses and smiled at me. Got a moment? Let's talk. The woman was Jason's mother. Rumor said she was the chairwoman of a listed company. The last time I saw her was before I graduated. She had come to my school to find me. You and Jason aren't suitable. Because of you, he refused to go abroad for graduate school. If you really love him, let him go. Don't delay his future. Back then, I naively believed Jason and I were destined like the leads of a story, staying together despite all obstacles. But reality was, he could have had a better life, yet he stopped for me. I was afraid that 20 years later, after being worn down by daily life, he would resent me for holding him back. So I broke up with him. After we reconciled, I knew I would eventually see this woman again. Mrs. Smith brought me to a cafe and handed me a check straight away. You know what I mean. I accepted the check cheerfully. Thanks for the meeting gift, Auntie. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Jason. Her expression darkened. I'm telling you two to break up. You and Jason aren't suitable. Don't ruin his future. You said the same thing 3 years ago. We did break up. But 3 years later, he still came back for me. Doesn't that say enough? That's because you seduced my son. Mrs. Smith's fists clenched. Calmly, I pushed the check back. If you could actually talk Jason out of it, you wouldn't be here looking for me. You don't accept me? Fine. But the one suffering in between won't be me. It'll be him. You're really different from 3 years ago. Hearing that, I couldn't help agreeing. 3 years in, society changes a person. Back then, you didn't even tell Jason about me. I was shocked. So I told him that I was the one who broke you two up. It was the first time I'd ever seen him so angry. Mrs. Smith sighed softly and slid the check back toward me. You win. Our mother-son relationship is already strained. I can't afford to make it worse. Take it. This is your meeting gift. Goodbye. She left in a hurry. I was about to go when Jason called. Where are you? A cafe. My mum went to see you, didn't she? Since I never drink coffee. Jason guessed instantly. Yeah. But this time, she's willing to give us her blessing. The other end fell silent for a long moment. I could only hear his steady breathing. Why didn't you tell me back then? It doesn't matter anymore. We made it through. We're together now. I waited a bit at the cafe until Jason arrived. He came in panting, a little frantic. I'm not going to run away. I smiled and hugged him. I told you I won't leave you again. He nodded silently. Clearly, he needed me to take the initiative. So I dug the small box out of Jason's car and tossed it in front of him. Kneel. Jason froze for a second, asking if I was really sure. You have 3 seconds. If you don't kneel, I'm not marrying you. 1, 2. Jason immediately dropped to one knee. opening the box to reveal a gorgeous sapphire ring. The sun was golden, and people who were out for a stroll began stopping one by one. Before we knew it, we were surrounded. The ring was exquisite, the deep sapphire symbolizing loyalty and steadfast love. "When did you buy this?" He chuckled softly, meeting my eyes, his gaze full of tenderness. 3 years ago,